On a dairy farm, the farmer measures cows regularly. Withers height, then the girth and weight using a calibrated girth tape.
The girth is 185 centimetres and she weighs 508 kilos. If she was a very fat cow, she would weigh 544 kilos.
These cows produce 15 to 18 litres of milk a day and need to be milked twice a day. They each have their own ID, an electronic ear tag. This is logged by the computer. The farmer sterilises the teats and tests them before the milking cluster is attached. The farmer monitors each cow's yield. Food pellets with essential nutrients keep the cows happy. And the farmer records each cow's ID and milk yield. When the milk flow stops, the cluster drops off. And the cows return to the grazing field. All the milk that arrives in the dairy must be tested before it's accepted for processing. This machine is a cryoscope. It measures the freezing point of the milk. Proteins and dissolved sugars in the milk will lower the freezing point. The richer the milk, the lower the freezing point. The freezing point has to be below the line on the scale in order to pass. Here, 2 different milk samples are tested for the presence of antibiotics. They are added to a reagent. And then incubated for 3 minutes. The scientist then tests for antibiotics using a test strip. Which sample contains antibiotics and fails? This test, called the Rhesus urine test, will show if the milk is contaminated with bacteria. The older the milk, the more contaminated it will be. The The scientist mixes a sample of milk with blue rhesus urine reagent. And incubates the mixture in a water bath for 10 minutes. If bacteria are present in large numbers, the lactic acid they produce will cause the pH to drop and the rhesus urine reagent to change from blue to pink. In the microbiology lab, all glassware has to be sterilised in the autoclave. This technician is using heat-sensitive tape, which, when sterilisation temperatures have been reached, develops a stripe. The microbiologists must check samples from all the products as well as from points around the factory. Aseptic techniques are used. The pipette is sterilised by passing it through a flame. One milliliter of the sample is diluted with 9 millilitres of sterile water to make a 1 to 10 dilution. She then takes 1 milliliter of this and mixes with 9 millilitres of water to make a 1 to 100 dilution. This is serial dilution. One milliliter of each dilution is then transferred to a labelled Petri dish and mixed with nutrient agar. Different agar mixtures contain different nutrients which allow different types of microbe to grow. So, the presence of a range of microorganisms can be investigated. She then seals and labels the agar plates and incubates them for up to 5 days depending on the type of microorganism being investigated. She removes the plates from the incubator to see what's grown. Here are 3 plates. The one in the centre has no microbial growth. The one on the left shows a few pink colonies where bacteria have grown. The plate on the right shows growth of a fungus. The Longley Farm yoghurt making plant is a maze of stainless steel pipes which can be cleaned and sterilised by superheated steam. The milk is first centrifuged to separate it into skimmed milk and cream. These can be mixed later in the correct standardised proportions. The technician sets the volumes on the computer, sending the milk on different routes for making yoghurt, cheese or butter. The technician also makes a written record. The milk mixture is then pasteurised at high temperature for a short time to kill bacteria. This is recorded using a computer and thermograph. The technician then blends the skimmed milk and cream in the correct proportions and adds sugar. This mixture is then pasteurised again before going into the fermentation tank, which holds 7,000 litres of milk. He then inoculates with lactic acid bacteria pellets, and the mixture is fermented for 14 hours. During this time, the lactose milk sugar is converted to lactic acid. The acidic mixture denatures the proteins to produce the thick consistency of yoghurt. Fruit is added. And the yoghurt is put into pots by the potting machine. The use-by date is added. And the pots sent to the refrigerator for storage and distribution. Typical production here is over 80,000 pots a day.